Well, in some other news, Vestwell announced earlier this morning that it has partnered with Amazon. The financial technology company is expanding access to retirement savings for participants in Amazon's delivery service partner program designed to support delivery associates across the country. Vestwell founder and CEO Schumm told me more about this latest move. Let's take a look.
So what we're doing is we partner with Amazon to put together a savings platform for all of their driver service delivery partners. And if you think about every day how many deliveries come to your house or whatnot, what we're doing is setting them up for financial resiliency in the future and giving them access to programs that typically wouldn't be available to the workforce.
And in terms of the significance of this, how is this a game changer for those delivery drivers?
Well, if you think about the driver network across the country, there's millions of them. Amazon alone has thousands of these DSPs that have tens of thousands of drivers that need access to savings. But the personnel that actually provides the delivery, it's a very diverse workforce. It requires multilingual access. It requires just savings access in general, and putting it together in an easy to use way that someone who's in that world as a driver service provider can actually understand and engage.
Yeah, what makes this solution different than a traditional 401k?
So obviously 401ks have been around for 50 years. The challenge is we've left half of the country out of that equation. And about half of the country has access to a retirement program. The other half does not. What we're doing here is we created a unique structure that brings all of these driver service partners together and gives them access in a way that provides multilingual services, really easy engagement mechanisms for the owners of the DSPs, as well as just an intuitive workflow for the end driver who needs access.
And the savings gap is something that I want to hear from you about. Why is that something that we need to address it, and just how large is it?
Yeah, so we're in a crisis mode actually, right? And if you sit here and think about it, we have about a $50 trillion gap in this country alone that needs to be filled. And that gap is what you need for retirement versus what's actually saved. And what we're trying to do is address that. There's about 100 million people across the country that are not engaged in that conversation today, and they need to be. And if they're not, the economic cracks that persist in this country are just going to widen.
Why do you think these large-scale retirement plans matter?
Yeah, so the large-scale programs are actually great because if you think about it, they're reaching as many or the most amount of lives as possible. And we're happy to engage a business that has one employee, but when you can work in a vast network like an Amazon network, it's fantastic because you're going to touch as many lives as possible to create that engagement.
What does this say, do you think, about the future of workplace benefits?
Workplace benefits have to be transformed. What we've done to date has been fine, but it is not what we need going forward. And everyone should have access to programs. It could be a retirement program. It could be an education savings program. It could be a healthcare disability program. Those are critical as you think about the important elements of your life of where you're going to deploy those dollars as you're saving and creating financial resiliency for the future. So I think having open dialogue and creating mechanisms for engagement is critical at this moment.
How does this align with Vestwell's bigger mission?
Our mission is solely to close the savings gap in this country. And we think about it through those meaningful aspects, right? And this is perfectly aligned. Today we have over a couple 100,000 businesses on the platform, 1.5 million people actively saving, and about 35 billion in assets that we're overseeing. But we haven't even scratched the surface of what we need to do to fill that $50 trillion gap that persists.
Aaron, thank you so much for joining. Any more that you'd like to share about what is ahead for Vestwell?
There's a lot ahead. Hopefully we'll be IPOing here in the future, but it's wonderful to see the engagement that we're seeing across the marketplace today. That candidly, these conversations weren't happening 5-10 years ago. Now everyone wants to engage and everyone's figuring out how they can best engage their workforce.